Hi guys, welcome to the game channel. This is my first time ever playing Anthem. Origin is doing these free weekends where you can play the game and check out a preview of it. The game has looked really cool. I've watched a ton of videos on YouTube about this and got interested enough to download this free version so that I could try this thing out. And so far I'd say the experience has been pretty good. Of the complaints that I've got, they're pretty minor. I mean, the first one, this is the main area that you walk through where you get your quests and stuff. The only complaint I've got about this is you can't jump, you can't run. This is as fast as you go. So it does take a little while to get from one place to another in here. It can be a little annoying. I did cut it down a little bit in this video so that you guys wouldn't have to watch me crawl along from one place to the next.
What have you been up to?
You'll love it. Okay, it's called the Manifold. Well, technically I call it the Manifold.
And it does what exactly?
For years, I'd heard of a type of shaper relic that was able to amplify and augment the qualities of other objects. Never encountered one, never knew anyone that had, but thanks to the Elysian manuscript, I think I know where one is. Right here in Bastion.
And you think it'll amplify and augment the power of my javelin?
Precisely. Excited yet? Not to worry. Once we find the Manifold and get it working, you will be. Guaranteed. First, the Manifold. Then we boost your javelin, you silence the Heart of Rage, and boom. Everyone lives happily ever after.
It's a little more complicated than that.
Details. I've sent all the particulars of the location to Faye. I can't wait.
So if you guys haven't guessed already, that's the guy who gives you your first quest. I don't know if this is the actual storyline that we'll be following when the game finally comes out, or if this is just something that they put in for the free demo. He was commenting about a javelin. For those of you who are new to Anthem, javelin is basically your Iron Man suit. So whenever they're talking about a different type of javelin or whatnot, that's what they're talking about. So this area looks really cool. Lots and lots of detail here. I did explore it earlier, but I didn't include it in the footage because I figured that would be boring. Now, the menu system in this game is a bit confusing. I cut out a lot of me just kind of clicking around and trying to figure things out. But the first thing I wanted to do was start this quest that this guy gave me. So I kept trying to figure out how do you do triple threat. And I couldn't figure that part out. What I did find, and I saw this in another video, was how to go into this section of the game that lets you customize your character. They give you quite a few options, but I didn't find everything that I saw in some of these other videos because there were some other videos where people were changing color palettes and a bunch of stuff like that. I kind of wanted to make my guy black and red, but that didn't really work out. So I was able to look at these different types of metals for the different, or materials, they weren't all metals, for the suit. And I was able to adjust the way that the suit looked, and I came up with this look. For those of you watching this, I did cut out all the loading screens. It is taking a little bit of time to load the game right now, but again, this is all pre-release stuff. The game's a bit different. If you're a Destiny player, which I am, coming into this, it's going to feel a little bit different, but it's also going to feel very familiar. I had a little bit of a hard time figuring out what the keybinds were because I did go through and customize my keybinds, but then I kept forgetting what I put where. So this game relies really heavily on specials. You have a gun, it does sustain damage, but it doesn't do a whole lot of damage. You have these specials that tend to recharge at a pretty quick rate, but what I haven't been able to figure out yet, and actually it's funny because while I'm watching the video and I'm talking about this, I see where they recharge on the screen on the bottom right, but it was hard when I was first playing it to really understand, okay, what's available when can I use this ability? There are 3 specials that you can use on a regular basis. They all recharge at different rates. I'd actually forgotten where I had mapped the 3rd ability, so I never really use it. I will be honest with you guys, I suck. It's my first time playing, so while I was figuring this out, there's not any kind of stellar gameplay here or anything like that. Nobody's going to go, oh wow, you're awesome. In fact, you're probably going to look at this and go, wow, you suck.
Where's the runa call?
Now, I couldn't figure out how to do the triple play threat that I got from that one guy before to find the Manifold, so I did a quick play, and this is a quick play mission. It took me into an instance, it paired me up with a couple of other guys, and we killed stuff. For the most part, these guys carried me. I had no idea what I was doing, no idea where I was going. They don't have a mini-map in the game. Unfortunately, what you have is that bar at the top center of the screen, which kind of points you towards the bad guys and points you towards your objective. I mean, it works, but it's not, in my opinion, as intuitive as a mini-map. If I were to give these guys any feedback, I'd say, hey, put a mini-map in there.
The scars have them in cages here.
At this point, I'd finally figured out how to fly. I'd forgotten where I'd mapped that key. And flying, I can't tell you what it's like with a joystick or a gamepad. I was using mouse and keyboard, and it is really sensitive. So you really have to be careful with your movements, because if you move too abruptly, you're just going to smash into a wall and basically fall to the ground. You're going to also see a lot of the times I mapped my keys the same way that I have my keys mapped for Destiny, which, you know, the melee key is the same key, and then the specials are similar keys. And what I was realizing while I was playing this was I'm going to have to adjust those key mappings a little bit. They're still going to be able to be similar, but this is one of the reasons why you see me swinging my sword randomly when there's nobody right in front of me. I will be honest, playing in this first mission, I was a little bit disoriented. I was just really trying to understand what was going on, and there was all this chaos going on around me. I couldn't tell if the mobs just keep spawning endlessly or if you can actually kill them off and then take the boss out on your own. I wasn't even sure what the objective was at this point. I was just in this mission trying to figure out how to play the character and trying to understand, you know, how to get around the game. My guess is when they come out with this game in its final release, they'll probably have some kind of a tutorial. I know they've got tutorials in the game now, but none of them seem to start you off. I'm going to go have a look at that and see if those tutorials are something I can jump into that, you know, they'll actually teach you, hey, here's how you fly, here's how you shoot, here's how you use your specials. But otherwise, right now it seems like you just kind of get thrown into it and you have to figure it out, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it does make it take a little bit of time to figure things out, like you can tell right there.
Kidnapping sounds like bad news. Do we know what this Iskari looks like?
The sentry said it was huge and dangerous.
One thing I will admit, the flying is really cool in this game. In fact, what's frustrating about the flying is just that your suit does overheat pretty quickly. Hopefully there's a way to modify your suit as you gain levels so that you can fly for a longer period of time. At this point, I was just really working out how to do the combat mechanics and how to get around from one place to another. But there's also a hover mode that you can use to shoot enemies, and which is really cool. But it is timed, it does overheat your suit, and eventually you have to come back down to the ground. And in this particular part, it really does feel like your machine gun just barely does any damage to that guy over there. We just kept shooting at him and shooting at him. Eventually we got him down, but it took a good bit of time to do it. And then these other shield guys here, you can see I'm barely putting a dent into their shields. Now, one of the biggest things, which is probably the big elephant in the room when it comes to Anthem, is this is a game that's being published by EA. And I was watching another YouTuber who was talking about the EA hate train and how there are a lot of people who just kind of tend to follow the EA hate train because it's the cool thing to do. I'm not one of these guys who hates EA. I just don't trust them. And the reason why I don't trust them is for my own legitimate reasons. There are games that I bought, Star Wars Battlefront, for example, and wound up with a product that was honestly just sucked. So after watching dozens of videos of Anthem, I finally decided, okay, hey, I'm going to try this free trial, I'm going to check this thing out, see how I like it, and give this thing a chance. It is being produced by BioWare. BioWare has been known for producing really in-depth games and doing a really good job with storyline. The only hesitation is, what will EA do to kind of wreck that? BioWare produced Star Wars The Old Republic. Star Wars was this game that had this phenomenal story to it, really in-depth, really got you involved with your character. It almost felt like you were living through a movie. And when EA got their hands on it, the story went away, the focus wound up being around microtransactions, and the game really in many ways just started to die. What's going to happen over the long run? Is EA going to sit there and say, okay, you need to start focusing on microtransactions, or are they going to let BioWare do what they do best, which is a really great story and a really great game that people are going to get into and feel invested in and feel connected to their characters? or is it just going to
That's
wind up
it.
being
The
a
scar
flop
is
like
all dealt with.
well,
Good work.
Star Wars Battlefront?
Head back to the fort and we'll see if Runa discovered anything about those samples.
I'm sitting here trying to figure out again, or I was trying to figure out again, how do I get that triple threat mission going? Couldn't figure it out again, just wanted to play another mission, so I actually do launch another quick play mission here that I jump into. I do a little bit better this time than I did last time because I started figuring a few things out. In this particular mission, figuring out my hover was kind of important because you just saw that fire wave go by, and that does kill me a few times coming up here. Yeah, there goes the sword. Now, when you're in a zone with restricted spawning, basically if you go down, you're down. And it takes a teammate to spawn you. So there were a few times where I sat there for a good 5 minutes until somebody finally came around and got me back up. That's a little bit annoying. It would be nice if maybe you respawn at a checkpoint or something and you had to run back like they do in Destiny. You know, that also does add difficulty in the game. You've got to work with your teammates and get these things figured out. Hitting the sword there. I had meant to actually throw the grenade, but I keep hitting my melee button. Here, I'm just trying to figure out what my third special was. That's why I just kind of stood there and stared at that guy. There we go. Now I've got my hover going. Those guys hurt when they die. So, another mission where I just completely got carried through it. But still fun. I was still trying to figure things out, like just getting my hover to work kind of seamlessly instead of feeling like, you know, I've got to think about every single little move. You know, it's part of the challenge here is just trying to make it all second nature.
No time to waste.
Anyway, thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please hit that subscribe button and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. I really appreciate that. If you didn't like the video, leave me some feedback. I'd actually like to know what I could do differently on an Anthem review or any other video that I've got out there. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say.